trigger assembly. I've removed the stock pad, and there's actually a plunger tube in here that has a big spring in it that tends to cause it to jam because there's a spot here that has carbon buildup a lot of times. So we will remove all that. And next we're going to remove the trigger housing or trigger assembly by removing the trigger pins. And these pins here give a slight little bump. Let's get the second one too while we at it. Remove the first pin. The pins are just alike, so. Second pin. And the housing will just come right out. Okay. And the next step, we're going to remove the stock pad. These are at a little bit of an angle. So, I have to find it here. Okay, notice the angle. I know that can be troubling when you're trying to get it out, but once you get the angle, everything works great. And notice the angle on this one, same as the other one. Okay, and now the pad is off. And notice inside you have a stock nut. This one is a 3/4. And just so happens I have a 3/4 here. Counterclockwise. And then there's a little spacer here that is actually, I don't know if you can see down in there, there's a little pin in here that goes across, and it has to be perfectly centered for it to come out or to go on, because there's a very small tolerance in there. So if that's not centered, you'll have trouble getting this stock off. But there's no extra things to do there. You just have to be gentle like that. Let me pick up the parts. The very first part on would be this little washer here. Then you would have the stock. Just gonna call it a washer because I don't know exactly the name of it. And then you would have the little spacer there. And notice this pin here is very small tolerance. So once we start putting that on, we'll have to bump it a little to get it over. Or when we tighten down that nut, it will pull it over. But that's the reason we had to pull so hard to get that over there. Because you can see it's a small tolerance there. So anyway, that is the easy part, or sometimes the hard part. I'm just gonna leave that on. No need of taking it off. And now we're going to take this pin out, and there is a spring up in there. I said not to point at anybody, but I pointed at the camera. There's a spring up in there. As soon as we remove that pin, it will go shooting out of there. So let's remove the pin. Put my screwdriver up in there to push on it a little bit. I'm hanging onto those threads, but if my hand slips, you will see it go across the room. And that is the plunger spring can see, there's a lot of wear on mine.
Is that why it's showing?
I don't know. We're gonna clean that all up really well. And we're gonna take it to the range and we're gonna shoot some 3.5 inch rounds through it, which will really work it and cycle it before we go back to the light 1 ounce loads. So that's the disassembly. And now let's start with the cleaning.